Hi everyone. Today I want to show you one more example of what could happen if you are guided by the engine rather than guiding the engine. So as you can see, this is a game Mamedyarov Carlsen from 4 years ago, Gashimov Memorial Super Tournament. I'm not really interested in the opening per se at the moment, but I would like to point out that in many Shahriyar's games, he is sacrificing that pawn on c4, makes a fianchetto with the bishop, and then gains the center with e4 and gets very good compensation. You can find some games of his that he likes to play risky chess, and I adore that and appreciate that. So, as you can see, that the game was analyzed by Grandmaster Vtachnik. I'm assuming the engine was used, right? It's 2014. The game was played, I don't know when it was annotated, but sometime, of course, after that. So the position I'm specifically interested is this one. The annotator correctly states, when all the forces are mobilized, all good players know that waiting can only help the adversary. Mamedyarov is opening the direct fight with a logical shot in the center, d5. And let's see what engine has to say about the d5 move. He offers an alternative as knight e5, which is also a human move to consider, I would say. And but after move c5 or rook a to d8, you can see that white is, or queen c7, the engine also cannot set up her mind. So it seems that white is in trouble here. And in fact, Carlsen won that game. This is a evaluation of Stockfish 9 at relatively small depths, but the position is quite complicated to understand. So the game continued d5. Bishop c5 was a good alternative. Carlsen played c5, a5, queen d8, takes, and there was a whole fight ahead, but black won eventually. So, but take a look at this position. As annotator correctly pointed out, all white's pieces are ready for action, right? The rooks, the minor pieces, the queen, everybody is ready. And I'm not sure what engine he was using back in the day when he was annotating the game, but you can see that knight e5 is jumping to the first line from time to time, depending on what you're doing. But if you just listen to what engine has to suggest, you would go for knight e5 and white would be in trouble. I argue, I made some analysis, although it is by no means complete. The position is ridiculously difficult to figure out even with the engine. There is an idea that top grandmasters in the world, the engines, as well as the annotator, who was not in a hurry at all, they all didn't see it because they were, well, during the game it's understandable. The position is very complex and d5 is a very natural move to play, to try to ruin the pawn structure. But in the quiet office where you're annotating and using engine, still a lot of players are doing that mistake of like looking at the first or second line that the engine is suggesting. So as you can see, while I'm talking, the engine's still discussing, and it clearly prefers white. I claim that white is at least not worse in this position, but the engine cannot spot the idea as well as all the GMs. But I must point out that the idea itself is amazing. If you wish, you can pause the video and try to find an idea for white, but this is high-class combination. The best move here is e5, which was not considered. The moment I play e5, the engine agrees that it is an excellent move. e5 usually is a good move to play, just gaining some space, and e4 square. What happened? Why didn't they play it? It's clearly the reason, knight going to d5. And now there's an amazing idea here, because it seems that white gave away the key square. The amazing idea goes as follows. bishop takes h6 out of nowhere. By the way, before e5, the engine was now it prefers e5. Was suggesting queen c1. This is a very good idea to next move might be bishop takes h6, and black has to really anticipate that one. Comes to mind the game Anand Topalov when they played World Championship match. Anand came up with a way to win the game just because the pawn was on h6. If the pawn was on h7, that wouldn't be possible. So, but e5, knight d5, bishop h6. But what seems to be the idea? G takes h6 and then king g7. What is going on? Now queen d2 with amazing double threat. Queen takes h6 as well as breaking the pin with knight d5. Even engines couldn't see it. Even the engine couldn't see it. So the main line goes, well, the main but the worst line goes if knight takes c3, it's pawn takes c3, and if bishop comes back to e7, which is a logical way to go, it's queen h6, and black is in very, very serious trouble. Knight g5 is in the air, so I considered f6 move in this position. f6. Oh, my bad. I considered bishop takes c3. Here f6, it's and queen g6, and knight is just coming. And although still it's easy for the engine, but you can see that all white's pieces are joining the attack, and black is in very big trouble. Rook e1, e takes f. Although not obvious for a human being. I considered here bishop takes c3, distracting the queen. Still white is winning with queen h6, knight g5 is coming, now f6, and now with the same idea, white goes queen g6, king h8, just quiet move rook c1, bishop goes to b4, trying to get closer to the king, and now knight h4, and white's attack apparently is unstoppable. As you can see, the engine gives already the winning advantage. So this is the key idea. And if bishop takes c3, b takes c3 would be a horrible mistake. King g7, white's attack is immediately stopped. But amazing move, queen h6, white is two pieces down, knight g5 is coming, so f6 is almost the only move. And now queen g6, king h8. Where's my analysis? Yep. And now b takes c3, and black is finding very hard to get rid of this queen like this. So I stopped the analysis here because it's clear that white's attack is very strong, although you may find an improvement in my analysis. Maybe it was, I did it back in the day, and white is at least not worse. We can all agree on that, right? So maybe there's an improvement here. But this is an amazing idea of queen d2 double attack. And for example, if black goes king g7, an alternative as well, it's knight to d5, bishop d2, knight b6, knight b6, knight d2. And actually only black could be worse here because, well, rook fd8 is the natural move to play. Knight takes a4 falls into knight takes c4. White is much better. So rook fd8, and now white plays a5. This is what I analyzed. And rook takes d4, using the pin. A takes b, rook a to d8, and now king f1, amazing move. Rook d2 and king e1, and actually black is struggling. Rook takes, and if black goes is, by the way, the engine says you go to a bishop endgame. I'm pretty sure it's lost, although it gives zeros. The correct move is rook b8, rook d7, followed by a5, bishop a6, and rook b6, and black holds a draw here. But if black takes, the engine is very wrong about this position. Give him time, you would realize that those pawns are not going anywhere. For example, like a5 move, king d2, it's going f6 again, king d2, f6, it's always f4, the king can never escape. And you can see that the evaluation is now in white's favor. The king can never go anywhere. I give check, and if it's going forward, I am going forward too, and the king is coming, and black is in deep trouble, maybe lost. I didn't analyze that far away. So rook takes d1 is a mistake. After this move, Okay, I'm gonna play the best move by engine. F4, takes. Where's your equality, engine? Bishop B4, king G5. Suddenly equality disappeared. King D2, and only white can win this one. If king G4, it's king E3, king is coming. Black is in big trouble. So coming back to that position, so this is a very rich and interesting position, but I think we can agree that in this position white is not worse for sure. White is not even one pawn down, and white has much better pieces, and black is the one who has to be accurate. I think the best move in this position would be not king G7, but yeah, actually black is struggling a little bit here. F6 is the good move in this position. F6. And if queen takes H6, black has rook F7, and it's, I don't know what is happening here. The engine gives zeros, eventually white gives a perpetual, maybe white has more. If it gives zeros, it doesn't mean it's equal, it means it found some perpetual. Queen G5, Queen H5, some sort of perpetual was found. If white want to play for a win, white can go for this line, which is also amazingly difficult. If C takes D, Queen B4, F takes E5, I don't know what is happening, but apparently white is doing very okay in this position. Knight D5, black can also go bishop D2, knight B6, knight B6, knight D2, and now F5, but I still prefer white here. I think white is a little bit better. A5, knight D5, and now I don't know. And some rook C1 and B3 maybe. It depends what black is doing, but you can see by the evaluation that it is white is doing very okay because of this amazing idea that GMs couldn't find. But this is very typical. If the pawn is on H6, very typical it's bishop H6 and queen takes H6. But I've never seen an idea where queen D2 is pinning yourself with a threat to unpin. That I find very beautiful. But the engine cannot see it. The engine and the commentators couldn't see it. Stockfish 8 also cannot find it. So I really like this idea, and this illustrates the point that you should be guiding the engine rather than the engine should be guiding you. Please keep that in mind next time you're using any engine in a complex position. Always ask questions like, why didn't he offer this move? It looks good. Like E5 looks good. E4 square, opening the diagonal. It's very typical to give up the D5 square and try to attack the king side. So use your judgment. You may be wrong, but occasionally such brilliances would be found. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.